Hey, greetings and welcome back to OG Blade Reviews. Great to have you with us. And today we're talking about, once again, North Mountain Blade. This was not provided to me for review. This is my own purchase. This one happened to come from White Mountain Knives, where they have begun to carry North Mountain Blade. White Mountain Knives, North Mountain Blade. Nice combo, I would say. Going to do the full reveal here, unboxing, because I think it's worth it. And of course, you can always skip ahead. I'm sure a lot of you guys will, but you get a really nice cardboard box. Actually, it is. They put some money into a presentation. NAF is in there, but here's some cool stuff inside. How about a complete hardware set? Everything except the kickstop itself, and you're going to see that this is a kickstop, a Lee Williams Kickstop knife. Got a cardboard sort of, I'm not sure if it's a sticker or not, replica of their chop. That's most of their business is through the chop series, and they started off with button locks. There's some info for you, okay? And even look at this. Yeah. Hardness 66. What? 66. Why? Because this guy is in ZDP-189. And it's hiding under the foam there. You get a really nice Pelican style with a gasket around the outside. Water resistant, if not waterproof, box. Inside is the NAF. And I'm going to put that aside for a moment. Over there somewhere. And here is your medium size folder with the Williams Kickstop. And it is a beautiful compound ground Tanto, and they did not put the etched line for the hamon, which is the traditional Japanese temper line, but you can see the line there where the ZDP 189 inner core meets the softer scales or slabs of steel on the outside. I do not know what the outside steel is. Could be any relatively stainless steel, although the ZDP is not a high resistance stainless steel. Now, I'll see if I can put some information about ZDP 189 in the notes, in the links that I give you. And I think there is a direct link to North Mountain Blade where they describe it. But this is a beautiful knife. All titanium handle. And I guess, unfortunately, they went with smooth titanium on the clip side. Clip is not transferable. I've taken this knife apart. So truth be told, this came in really stiff with a really tight detent. I was able to soften that up a little bit by disassembling, and the disassembly was not too much trouble. Basically, you remove the pivot and one body screw. They're both T8. Also, the hardened steel insert is a T8. Now, what you need to do is take this whole side off and then remove that as well. And then you can very gently, with this whole side of the knife in hand, bend this out. Not with a lot of force, just enough to remove some of the tension, and it still locks up. Absolutely drum tight. There's zero movement, zero blade play. And this is just a fine little knife. And with the absence of the flipper tab becoming a what do you call it? A guard, okay, finger guard. You have just a straight line across. There's a little bit of a cut in here on the handle, as well as the blade, and you actually can use that if you want it to go forward. I'd be careful because it's nowhere big enough to accept your index finger unless you got real tiny, tiny, tiny hands. Very grippy on the grid side, which you could call a frag pattern, okay? These dished out pivots, really nice, and you got the same thing here. There is a barrel that goes through and the screw attaches to it on that side, and that is keyed. That is a D-shaped barrel, as is the pivot. So everything locks up nice. You don't need to stabilize screws on the other side or what have you. But really nice compound grind. We got a flat grind here with a bit of a rounded tip, belly in there, hollow in here, and feels great in the hand. Nice balance. It's right about there, so not far back from where the release is for the lock bar, as it is a Framelock. And as I said, with a hardened steel insert, nicely chamfered, real easy to close with one hand, real easy now to open. It was worth it doing that little bit of work. Had to do it 3 times and get the tension just right on that bar. I also polished up the kickstop. You can see how interesting this kickstop is. If you haven't experienced the Lee Williams Kickstop before, you can see how that moves freely. But what it does is it launches the blade out. That goes into detent really well. I did that on purpose so you can see it come back in. Just like that. There is the kickstop right there. And again, it doesn't come out until we reach about 30 degrees to the handle. And you can see, as I said, it's a loose part on its own little pivot. This is ball bearing, 2 runs of ball bearings on the blade. And we have on the Lee Williams Kickstop here, we have inside a couple little brass bushings that are part of the pin that holds that in. So it's got its own place right there. And when it's here, nothing, and nothing underneath. When it's closed, it's a nice height, all right? It's well jimped, easily opened now. So mine might have just been an anomaly, a tight copy. So if you pick one up, and they're 240, unless you can find some discount codes, 240 on both White Mountain and on North Mountain Blade. I'll give you both links. I believe it is now sold out as of this date in June that this video drops on White Mountain, but they are in stock at North Mountain Blade. At this level, price level, they ship it for free, and it gets to you priority mail very quickly. They're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. I got this in like incredible 2 or 2.5 days, something like that. So that is really great shipping. I've got stuff from being shipped closer that gets here far later. USPS is a little rocky these days and a little uneven, so hope that all works out well. Overall length, we're going to call that a 765, okay? And the blade length, depending upon where you measure it, could be 3.5 on the back spine and like 3.35 on the cutting edge. So overall, we're going to call it like a 3.4-inch blade. I know that's agonizing. Heard from somebody recently that said people are just going to skip past the measuring part. You might very well, but others have actually recommended to me that I start doing metric. So they're watching the info here. So why not take a look at it? You can always skip forward. 3 millimeters exactly on the blade stock. 11.4 millimeters on the handle, going back to the blade, 0.12 inches, and a really nice 0.45 across the handle, well under a half an inch. Bringing up the scale, and we're going to roll right over to grams. Okay. We've got a fairly light 113.9, let's call that 114 grams, shall we? Close enough. And a 4-ounce blade, that 4.020, we're going to call that 4 ounces. So really nice. And it is not weight relieved at all. Nope. Nothing in there. Just flat titanium. The clip is quite nice. Got a medium amount of flex to it. And it does not touch the lock bar, which is really nice too. It's resting on the handle. So pressure on the clip taking it out of the pocket and attempting to open it does not influence the opening of the blade. Look at that. Gorgeous grind. We're going to show you a couple other things. Here is one that North Mountain actually sent me for review. This is the Kickstop chop in aluminum bronze, or aluminum brass? Aluminum bronze, I think. It's heavy. It's as heavy as bronze or copper or what have you. It's a solid chunk of knife. Way heavier than this one here. How heavy is it, you might ask? Well, let's take some time and put it on the scale. That guy is 6.86 ounces, almost 7 ounces. And that is all about the handle. And once again, they did not weight relieve it inside. Little different sort of clip, you know, bent sheet metal clip, but thick. And a lot of people do not like deep carry clips. It's not deep carry on this one either, but it's a little closer to the pommel than this one is. And that is not switchable either. So that's their button lock. They kind of got their name through the button lock folders. Here is another Kickstop. And this is the Kickstop Chop Plus. Okay. Kickstop Chop Plus. You can see it's plus because it's a good 1.5 inches longer than the what are they calling this anyway? They're calling this the Lee Kickstop Chop. Pretty sure that's kind of the name. And it falls into their flagship category because it is an upper end priced knife. These are going for about $130. These are going for about $130. So much lower price in here. I don't no more than 150, but I'm pretty sure I saw that it was 130. And they may even be a little down from that. That's a liner lock on that Kickstop. And they're hidden liners. Very, very thick handle with a rounded multicolor G10. Kind of, I think they call it like a python, maybe. I got a custom from Dirk Pinkerton. It's in python. And a nice hidden lanyard slot. You got the same thing going on here. If I didn't show it. Okay. Slip your lanyard underneath. And it maintains a nice clean look. So there are no holes through the handles. What do I have over here? I think I was supposed to bring out one more. Here we go. So here is one I reviewed not that long ago. This is their Kaiken with a front flipper on it. And yeah, they used a 3D milling on both sides. I think because this milling, let's get these guys out of the way. Button locks are really nice, by the way, nice jimping. And let's get the plus out of the way. That's a full-size knife with almost a 4-inch blade. And the Kaiken, this has a really effective front flipper, really easy. For me, I have trouble with some front flippers, as some people do as well. This Kaiken, as you can see, has a different sort of a grind, a much more elongated point. And many Kaikens are not hollow ground in here. The Williams, James and Chris Williams designed Kaikens don't always have that hollow and flat, but they make some really wicked Japanese style knives as well. These are about the same length. Maybe the Kaiken's a tiny bit longer, yeah, ever so slightly longer, barely longer. I would say pretty much for our purposes, they're the same length. Same kind of dished out pivot. Interesting. As I said, they carried the texture over to this side. I have a feeling that if they carried the frag texture over to this side, that you'd have some difficulty getting it in and out of the pocket. That could be their reason. You know, I was quick to say that saves them money not having to mill that side, but they did it here. And we're talking about a knife that kind of falls into the same price range as the Kickstop there. Really nice though. This one, I really like it. It's thin. This one's just about as thin. Yeah, similar clips, just a little different style on the Kickstop. It's a branded clip, and as a matter of fact, they're both branded, but faintly branded. We got a darker titanium going on here. Beautiful brushed satin on both of these. Pretty sure this one's got brushed satin as well. Maybe it isn't. I think this is stone washed. Yeah, that's stone washed, and this guy is satin. And we've got a hand rubbed. Pretty sure anything longitudinal like that is a hand rub finish on the flat, and some really nice brushed satin on the grinds. Very pointy. Speaking of that, take out a little bit of high-end computer paper. Oh man, that is smooth. Probably the sharpest one yet from North Mountain. Oh, really, really nice. '66 HRC, guys. 66 HRC. You probably won't need to sharpen that guy for a while. Going to be a little more difficult to sharpen than most. But you want a hard steel, you got it with this guy. Of course, that's the core. Still not sure what they're using for the slabs on the side. San Mai, as I said, 3-layer. You can probably not see it on the spine. If I didn't mention it, we got some nice wedges here. They don't go quite to the tip for a reason. Keeps your tip thickness greater, you see, but it is perfectly even. Those grinds on both sides, nicely done. Got some paper smush here, but there you can see the demarcation between the core, there it is, and the sides. ZDP-189. Not the same as SLD Magic. SLD Magic is a little bit softer. I think we shouldn't even say softer. It's like about a 60 HRC, 60 to 61 on the SLD Magic. At first, I thought SLD Magic referred to the San Mai structure of the blade, but apparently it doesn't. Neither does the ZDP-189, because there are blades made completely out of ZDP-189. But this one being San Mai, you have a really nice sandwiched steel. Well, let me know what you think. Right about now over here, you're going to see my logo. Click on that logo if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and you can do so. Be notified every time a new video drops. I appreciate your stopping by. Be well, take care, stay safe.